Alright everyone, I'm not a big fan of judging people by the company they keep, but when they want to be in the highest office in the land, yeah, you could say that there's a little bit of importance to it. Anyway, we got to talk about Michael Ramirez, who is actually now the digital coordinator for the Biden campaign in Arizona. He was just hired, I think, not that long ago. Unfortunately, for him and for Biden, people dug back through his old tweets and found enormous amounts of racism, misogyny, and violent rhetoric about cops. Now, supposedly, the Biden camp has sort of moderated itself a little bit. Like Kamala Harris, she was, a prosecutor, sort of a tough on crime, or just like Biden. And so they're trying to straddle that line where they don't freak out too many of the independent and lean left voters, while at the same time still being like, well, we're progressive. Hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Bernie bros, please vote for us because evil orange dromfl are bad. But then, if you look through this, a link in the description, archived of course, you can see some weird shit. First and foremost, back in 2011 saying, yeah, I'm a Marxist and I don't give a fuck. Okay, so you're a communist. Or, I know there's no true communism. Like, communism doesn't really exist. It's just an idea, not a movement or something. That would be their thing these days. But if you go through there, some of the things that he's saying, like even if I were to say him in quotes here, I'd probably get a strike on the account. So I'm not even going to bother repeating some of this, but he's like, he said, I wish a police officer would ask me for my papers. I would tell him to go fuck himself. Well, I don't think that you would. I think you'd end up in a cell, and I think that you'd have a tough time. Now, soy boy lolberals have a tough time in jail. They have a hard time holding on to the soap. Nothing makes me want to go punch a cop like listening to Rage Against the Machine. Oh, you mean those corporate sellouts making millions of dollars off of gullible fucks like you? And this shows the intelligence of the average Biden backer. By the way, if a person is actually a Marxist, why the fuck would they even back Biden? I know the breadline tubers have been falling in behind him. Oh, we go to trying to drum up support for Joe Biden. You gotta be the world's biggest sellout, dude. Total grifter, but And he's saying like literally racist stuff about Mexicans. He's saying he wants to tell a girl to make him a sandwich. Sort of laughing about feminism, and it's like I don't think people should be deplatformed for that rhetoric, but I do judge the Biden camp for thinking that didn't you check back through the social media history before you fucking hired this moron? And to keep that stuff out in the open, like, okay, I'm working for the Biden campaign now. Yeah, I'm sure that those tweets I made 10 years ago won't be problematic at all. Come on. This shows more about the intelligence of Biden and all the people around him, I think, than anything else. But when his campaign is hiring literal Marxists, I mean, come on, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, and it's got feathers, and it's semi-aquatic, and it's a duck, it's probably a duck. If it says Peking duck and is marginally tasty, by the way, duck actually is a really overrated meat. It tends to be dry unless cooked perfectly. Had it several times. It's never been particularly good. It's probably a duck. Joe Biden sitting there basically talking, he's more anti-gun than Bloomberg. He's talking about massive tax hikes. He's already suggesting that if he's elected, he'll immediately, and unconstitutionally, by the way, attempt to enact a 3-month mask mandate period in the whole United States, which won't happen because it's illegal, but he's threatening to. He's signing on to aspects of the Green New Deal. The person that he gets onto his campaign at least pretends to be like a progressive. Now they're calling her a moderate. They're trying to gaslight people about all the weird shit she said during the primaries. At what point are we going to say he's hiring communists? He still refuses to call rioters rioters. At what point are we going to at least speculate that he sympathizes with far leftists? With criminals and treasonous bullshitters? Because that's what communism really is. No, you can't be a communist and be a patriotic American, because communism is literally averse to the very concept of individuality. It's irreconcilable differences at that point. No, I don't think communists can be patriots. I just don't. They can be in a communist country, someplace that was formed on authoritarian basis. But as far as a classically liberal society a la the Enlightenment, no, it has nothing in common ideologically whatsoever. They're constantly trying to gaslight on that. Sort of like when the Democrats tried to say that Islam was part of the founding basis of the United States because Jefferson owned a copy of the Quran. Yeah, Jefferson, who fucked everything that moved, got drunk with Ben Franklin. He visited fucking hookers and stuff. He basically wanted to burn the church down. He was almost like a step away from a Hellfire Club member at that point. I think Ben Franklin was most blasphemous. But I mean, look through this, the shit that he's saying, and I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't bother to check the account, but I have a feeling that if I go to it, it's either locked or it's been scrubbed. But why wouldn't you do that before? Like, you know, Biden says, hey, I want to hire you for digital director in an important state, by the way, like Arizona. A state that only leans maybe 4 or 5 points red at this point because it is getting more blue over time. Biden, theoretically, feasibly, if he focused well there and did well enough with his digital campaigning, because at this point there's no physical on-the-ground campaign even happening, this is an outsized role now. Being the campaign director in a state, being the digital director 8 years ago, phone calls, basically. Phone calls and managing a Facebook page. Now it is the primary method by which campaigning is currently occurring. And you gave the job to somebody who's so stupid that he had this shit sitting on his Twitter. It's like, did you think that no Trump fan was going to dig back to your history with a few filters to find dirt on you? This happens all the time. This has become the MO of modern politics, to look at people's social media footprint to see for wrongthink. Unfortunately, you've got an avowed communist saying weird shit about wanting to abuse women and attack cops, and he's listening to shitty sellout so-called punk, by the way, or I don't even know exactly what you'd call Rage of the Machine at this point. They just call him the sellout band. The people that were good a long time ago, now they've got like gray hair and millions of dollars, and a bunch of fuckers. And you're saying weird shit about race, like literally making Mexicans references. It's very stereotypical, again, that I can't even repeat here. I mean, if this were a BitChute exclusive, I don't even know whether I'd want to repeat it, because then maybe Patreon and Twitter would ban me for bad off-site behavior. Literally, it's gotten to that point. Just think if someone Trump hired had said stuff like this. They'd be deplatformed instantly. Trump would absolutely be forced to drop them. Is Biden going to fire this fucker? We'll see. That's about all. Peace out.